Hi guys, episode number 18. This is a letter um, to an invisible ex-husband, but now that it's public, it's okay. So we continue. So the other episode number 17, conception. Yeah. So the letter goes on. Remember when some land was sold back home and I received some 50,000 shillings from my brother. I shared that with you, and honestly, looking back, I should not have let you know. But you asked me to give some 25,000 shillings to prophetess, and the rest pay the rent arrears. By this time, they were heading to almost 100,000. I was just too naive. I paid, and the rent arrears reduced. I'm almost giving birth at this point, and yet the baby has no clothes. Nothing had been bought. Anytime I tried to make an outcry to you, it was met with rebukes. You told me to trust God, and sometimes you would give me silent treatment. And I would tell you, let's work, let's do something that would make the baby come and have some clothes at least. But you destroyed my confidence. The silent treatment and the rebukes, asking me to trust God, knowing the relationship that I had with my God since childhood. But at this point I was feeling lost, because I'm trying my best to trust God. But again, I need to see things in action, because pregnancy is not something that you ask it to hold on. Prophetess visited us twice during this pregnancy. And most of the time, both of you could leave me alone at home without food, and you go running errands for her. Sometimes she leaves dirty clothes, asking me to clean them. I'm heavily pregnant. I had to reach out to friends, because I have to look for a woman to come and clean them. And you would be gone the whole day, not even calling to find out how is your wife doing. How is the baby in the tummy doing? That was heartless. Thank God for my friends. I could reach out to them and ask for finances. And I could call Mama Wangui, and she would come and stay with me and watch over me and help me in cleaning. Where was your heart, MOG? Sometimes in the morning I would ask you, now that you're going with prophetess, what should I cook? And you would tell me, the little that I had, I've used it to fuel the car for the woman of God. And for whatever we will eat, let's trust God. Honestly, if it were not for my friends that season, what would I have done? When prophetess would feel guests in the house, and I'm heavily pregnant, you would call me to the bedroom, asking me to look for food for the guests, claiming that you were doing your best to raise her air ticket. What if I had no friends? Sometimes you would provide, but most of the time when God would provide you with what we needed in the house, It was for prophetess and her hosting her guests in the house. A month to my son being born, I kept asking you what plans you had. How about his clothes? Yes, we knew he was a boy. How about his diapers? You said you had no money. But remember, a baby cannot wait for you. You have to run and do everything to prepare for the baby's arrival. He was coming. Yet all this time you kept feeding prophetess. You kept paying her DSTV. She demanded that I stop borrowing, but I had to borrow. The baby in my tummy is hungry. I am hungry. You don't want me to work. What else could I do? And it is at this point I reached out to a friend of mine. And I told her I don't have clothes for my baby. And it's about 4 weeks to go. Prophetess had asked us to speak to someone to go and borrow clothes from them. She knew we were expecting a boy, but she sent us to someone who had girls' clothes. I felt insulted. I felt insulted. And that's when I reached out to a friend of mine and told her, I don't have clothes for my baby. And she went into her closet and she chose all the clothes that were boy-friendly. She also had a girl, but I knew her heart was out for me. This is a friend that took me to Central Africa in the previous episodes. She gave me clothes that belonged to her girl that were friendly with a boy. Prophetess kept saying that I should stop doing that. What could the boy have worn when I give birth? Remember, as time goes by, I'm becoming less and less active. When I got the clothes and I cleaned them and I packed the bag, other things were missing. All the women can confirm that you need diapers, you need cotton wool, you need spirit for the belly button, you need oil for the baby, you need pads. And emoji, you didn't have any plans for that. And all this time you're rebuking me for borrowing. And I borrowed again. I reached out to someone, an old friend that you know, and they sent us 5,000 shillings. And that is the money I went and bought all those things, waiting for the baby to come. All this time, the money that you get, you buy food here and there, and then most of it you send to prophetess. Many are the times I felt like you were married to her and not me. In choosing the hospital, there was a hospital coming up in the neighborhood. I asked you to go and check it out because I couldn't imagine night transport to a far hospital in this condition. Rent arrears, food is a challenge, and now thinking of going far away to give birth. I went to NHIF, thank God. I activated my card so that I could use it for maternity. I thank God for the government. And this gave me courage to say no to some of your requests for me to keep sending money to the prophetess. The day came, you booked the hospital, and I was checked in as the first patient in this new hospital. And at this point, the rent arrears are at 60,000. And the boy was born. Thank God for the landlord who gave the baby time to grow a little. All this time, prophetess is nowhere in terms of help and support. When will you realize that her mission was just to benefit? Thank God for her husband. When I reached out to him, he offered to look for rent and pay for a month. I wonder whether they had agreed on that. And the arrears reduced. And this gave the boy a chance to continue growing. But I always knew that prophetess would recover that money from us. The husband sent us 30,000. When I had seen that our troubles had continued to accumulate, she came to see the baby when he was 2 months. And I requested Dad to allow me to sell my 1-acre piece of land to clear some of your debts. You told me to lie to him that I had found some land that was close to Nairobi for farming. You went ahead to plan with one of your friends who told you that he had a ready title deed for his land in case my family would ask for proof. Your friend would give you the title to pretend change of ownership would be effected. I was such a fool. You kept updating prophetess instead of remaining silent that we were about to acquire 500,000 shillings. And due to her updates, she started making demands. First of all, she told me to sow 20% as a Thanksgiving. After that, she said that she needed 30,000 shillings that is refundable to straighten her passport issues. Later, she said that we needed to sow a seed of 50,000 shillings from my money, a seed of 50,000 shillings for our ordination, which did not happen until a year later. So out of 500,000 shillings for selling my land, and remember my uncle had said no. He had refused because he saw something was not right. And looking back, I wish I had kept that money. I also wish that I had not sold my land, because that money drank water. And it was Daddy's gift for me. It was Daddy's gift for me as a girl child in the family. And that was my 1-acre piece of land. And to date, I'm still mourning it. Anytime I go home, I see the kind of farming that goes on in it. My heart crashes because I know I was selling that land to support you, Emoji. So a total of 110,000 as a seed, 30,000 shillings, passport needs, 50,000 shillings, a seed just went down the drain. With the rest of the money, I cleared rent arrears of 75,000 shillings. I bought baby items of 10,000 shillings. I bought furniture. You remember that before the baby was born, actually after the baby was born, you had said that God told you to clear furniture in the house. And you told me to obey because God would replace it in a matter of 3 months. And you called one of your sons in ministry. You gave out the TV, you gave out the seats, you gave out the aerial, you gave out tables and chairs and everything. And we were sitting on the floor. Right from when the baby was around a month, all the way until he was around 9 months. So you know I have been there. So after selling my land, it's because of the shame I kept feeling when guests would come to the house and sit on the floor. And I offered to buy furniture. And I filled that house with modern classic furniture. I replaced the furniture. The seat alone was 35,000. And remember, all this time I'm feeling so guilty because I lied to Daddy. And you said this furniture of 35,000 is the best that prophetess would come and sit in our house. And I said yes. TV, I bought at 35,000, the best for prophetess. TV stands, blender for the baby. You requested me to pay one of your partner's house rent of around 18,000 shillings. And you requested me to clear our rent arrears. When you tell people I left you because I'm evil, sometimes I wonder whether you remember the sacrifices I've made to support you. And my land was one of those sacrifices. The money was gone within 4 months. Back to square one. The landlord started coming again. And this is when the prophetess reached out to you. And she asked you to find a person that would help her to reach out to my dad, pretending to be the landlord, and harass him to pay our rent arrears. Rent arrears of a house she never comes to be in. Rent arrears of a house we were literally paying for her. And rent arrears of a house that we did not have money for. God will restore everything that I lost. He will restore the wasted years because He is God. In Jesus' name.